Um, the one thing I really wanted to get into, and again, I know I have a lot more of your book to get into, but I had to stop because it was just, who doesn't have stories that are kind of like this? Maybe it's a different gender, but it is. You started this chapter, and this is in 2006. Later in that year, my father was horrified by my appearance, and then later, um, you were talking and you talked about that you didn't understand some of the responses from your mother and described the sort of this crazy, critical, abusive behavior and things like that. And their parents, they don't know what to do either. I mean, we don't have handbooks. And I'm not trying to justify your parents' behavior or anything like that. I think you understand that. Talk a little bit about what you went through, and then we'll kind of go from there because you were transparent, and credit to you for dealing with those. Like those are some emotional bags that you were carrying around full of a whole lot of bricks.
Well, my mom was born, she's still alive, by the way, 98 years old and kicking. She'll be 99 in September. She lived through the Great Depression with 11 siblings. And her father, would have to lock up the food cupboard at night because kids get hungry. And, there wasn't a lot of food. She remembers just being hungry all the time. So now she has a daughter, and she's torn between wanting to show me love by providing me with a lot of food and the luxury of eating, and that she also could enjoy now not being hungry all the time, with this vanity of, but you also need to look a certain way to be a success in life. So even my upbringing surrounding food was binge purge. Pick me up from Sunday school with a hot loaf of bread from the bakery and a thing, a nice tub of butter and the butter knife. And she said, "Oh, we're gonna eat this in the car. Don't tell your father." Like she basically taught me how to sneak. She underfed me because she thought I needed to be on a diet. I think my pediatrician must have said, "Well, she's 2 pounds overweight. Maybe switch her to skim milk, light and lively." Uh, but I was also a sedentary kid. So when you underfeed and you have a slow metabolism, you're not running around outside, I still held on to a lot of weight. I was chubby, even though I didn't overeat. And I'm not blaming her for not understanding nutrition. It's just because of her parenting style. Uh, indulging and depriving, it kind of set me up for that. My father, God bless him, he passed in July of 2020. Nothing to do with COVID, thank God. It was just, his time. He was vain. He married my mother because she looked good with his convertible. He had a red Chevy convertible, and my mother was a blonde bombshell. And oh, they were so cute back in the day. The pictures of them out on the town. I mean, they were just gorgeous, the two of them. They didn't even have me till 9 years into the marriage. And he was frustrated by having a fat daughter. I wasn't athletic like he was back in his day. He played football. I wasn't a drum majorette or a cheerleader like some of my cousins were. I was chubby or fat, depending on the year. And he had some shame around that because it's a reflection on him. Oh, what kind of father am I to have a fat daughter? Because fat is associated with lack of control and failure. And, he married my mother for her looks. I mean, they loved each other and all, but, that was what hooked him. And now he has a fat daughter and he struggled with that. And he passed it on to me.
What is if I could press a little bit, what's one of the horror stories that made you feel that way?
Gosh, we were at a big family event it was at a nice restaurant, and it was a dance floor situation. I forgot whose anniversary. I think my mother's brother. And I remember, he's standing there with my uncles, and I entered the room, and I I was so happy to see everybody. And this, I was very, very heavy at the time, maybe 250, I guess, big. And I couldn't keep up with buying clothes that fit. So I guess my clothes were snug, which just exaggerated how big I was. And as I walked toward him, uh, the look of shame and anger and feeling maybe like he had to make an excuse for me, I don't know. But the look on his face, the disapproval destroyed me.
Wow. Does it feel good to talk about that? To like at least say it out loud and say this is what happened? At least you can acknowledge that it's there, and now we can kind of move. Like this is one of my things with prayer. It's like, I know there's a lot of benefit to having college educated counselors and psychiatrists. Because I'm just a guy. It's got a piece of paper. It's like, all right, well, talk to me. It's like, because I'd encourage you, and again, I'm not trying to talk to you. I'm talking to the audience as well. If you share this sort of experience, because we all do in some sort of way, it makes me pray different, and I try to encourage folks to pray differently through that. So for me, I was the skinny kid. I'm actually like, I'm the complete opposite, and I was insecure because I grew super fast, super early, which is basically like 5'9" in fourth grade, tall beanpole kid. Everybody thought, because I came from like a family in Indiana, had some basketball on their sides. They're, oh, he's going to be huge, whatever. And the doctors said so. The doctors were like, oh yeah, he's going to be like 6'6", and what? Everyone's all excited, right? And of course, then I got to 7th or 8th grade. I just stopped growing. Didn't grow for like the next 4 years. I only grew like 2 inches or something. It was just this crazy thing. There's a lot of shame about being the skinny kid, the little tiny kid, no muscles. I could work out, I could exercise, I could get stronger and lift more in a weight room, and I would still look just like I do now. I have like these little skinny arms. It doesn't matter what I do. I don't know what to do. I can only do so much. But I had to own that. You know what I mean? I had to own that. And I will admit, I still struggle to this day, like little things here and there. And I'm like, I know that's just the negative spiritual warfare, just trying to poison your mind and let you get obsessed with that sort of nonsense and distract you. Because what's in the past, I can't unwrite. It's already done. All I can deal with is going forward. But does it help you to know, like, all right, this is a page in my book, and I can now tell this story, and hopefully someone can learn from it. Does that help you to know that? Can you get that? Because I don't know that you do. I see your face. You're kind of struggling with the fact that that's a tough one to own, isn't it? It is for me. I'm being honest with you. I'm just like, it's tough for me to talk about it that way. I think it's tough for you too, right? It's hard.
It is. So what therapy will do is say, well, how did you feel? And to be able to express, because you don't feel about it, you just have you want to hide from how you feel about it. So say I felt very sad, I felt abandoned, I felt angry, I felt despondent. To talk about how did I feel when it happened, but that's only halfway. See, therapy and counseling and all that can only get you halfway. So saying how I felt, yes, it's a relief, and having someone say, it's okay to be angry at someone you love. It doesn't mean you don't love them. If you're angry at your father because that happened, it's okay. That is not predominantly how you feel about him. You still love him, but you felt angry about that. And to give yourself permission to feel, that is very healing. But it's only halfway. Because the next step is what they won't teach you in therapy because they can't. Well, maybe some therapists, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to generalize, but forgiveness. We happen to be Christian, you and I, and we understand the power, the radical power of forgiveness. And it's not to say, I'm no longer angry about it. I'll be angry or sad if I think about it. But to look at my father and have compassion for him. How was he raised? Who was he as a man? He doesn't have the emotional intelligence or experiences that I've had. He never even understood that I had a degree in philosophy. He couldn't say the word philosophy. He thought it was psychology until finally I got a degree in psychology. I'm like, yes, Daddy, I have a degree in psychology. Why would I expect him to feel about that situation of appearance and whatever with his life path, with his life experiences? That's who he was. And I did tell him that. Like, Daddy, when you did that, that made me feel really bad. And he apologized. I am so sorry. I think I even have it in writing. He wrote it in a card. I am so sorry if I ever made you feel less than. I am so proud of you and I love you and I never want you to feel that way.
Well, God bless. That is so powerful that, you know, the Bible teaches about it so much, and so many times, yeah, you're always praying upward. You're praying to God forgiveness and Him to forgive you and all of that. We are always going to have that sort of challenge because we're such a broken being. But just to forgive and let go. I remember I called some girl in high school. She was like a neighbor. I was a freshman, flirty, blah blah blah, and I was just a jerk. I was just not a good human being. And then I remember I messaged her through Facebook and just kind of apologized, and her response was, "Are you dying?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." And you know, it was just like, look, I just want to clear the air. Like, look, I can own the fact that I was a jerk. I can own the fact that I wasn't being a good human to you, right? It's okay to kind of clear the ledger. I hate that phrase. Actually, I shouldn't even say it, but it's sort of that way. But I wanted to go through this emotional journey with you because I feel like it's okay for us to say, yeah, I still feel pretty uncomfortable even talking about it or going there and thinking about it, whatever. But I also know there's like a part 2 to that story. It's like you said, the healing part. And a lot of times we don't get to the how to actually not just put a band-aid on it, how to just move on. Just go, okay. And then you kind of own it. Like it's like almost like the first paragraph of the story, and then there's the ending of the story. It's like seeing the movie. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this is a really hard movie to sit through. It's rough for me. But then there's this ending. And it's like, okay. And you have this great ending with your dad and an apology. And that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So this is a great book, and Lisa's done a lot of emotional pouring out on here. I will. I've kept her for over an hour already. I will stop right about there, and we will have her again. I am nowhere close to being done with her book to share with you this journey, and I'm thinking that you guys will find some value and relate to different things that we've already talked about, and then we will have more of that another time.